Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of the Mo Show Live. Hey, it's Morris Lilienthal. Hey, it's the day after the midterms, and I don't know about you, but I am tired of election commercials, and I'm tired of political ads, so I've got an answer for you. Beer. There you go, right there. Seriously, we are excited. I'm excited here to be with my friend Todd Seaton, who is the president of Old Black Bear Brewing Company here in Madison, Alabama. And you know, in the last several years, the craft beer industry, the micro-brew industry has really been on the rise, and that's true here in North Alabama, and especially true here in Madison with Old Black Bear. And so one of the things I was looking at getting ready to talk to Todd today was that in the last year, in 2017, there was $26 billion worth of craft beer sold in the U.S. That's a lot of beer, Todd.
It is a lot of beer. I think Alabama's up to 30-something breweries now, and we have about a $616 million economic impact to the state. A lot of tax dollars, a lot of beer being sold. Can't equate that to pints, but it's up there in the probably 500,000.
Yeah. Well, so, you know, folks, what we're going to be doing is we're going to talk to Todd about that today. So let me officially, formally introduce Todd. Todd is the president of Old Black Bear. Todd is a graduate of UT Martin, I think, if I got that right.
Correct.
And he and his wife Dawn founded Old Black Bear in 2011. And Old Black Bear, according to what I was looking, Todd, I think you sent me some of these numbers. You've brewed over 121,500 gallons of beer here and sold over 972,000 pints.
Yeah, that's close. I haven't updated that in a couple months, but yeah, that's pretty close.
So we're getting up on close to 1 million pints now.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. But Old Black Bear is not only a brewery, but it's a full-service restaurant with great entrees and sandwiches and a lot of other food items and things that we'll talk a little bit about at the end of the show here. But Todd is also very passionate about giving back to his community. Todd and I know each other because we're in the Madison Rotary Club together, so proud to know Todd through Rotary and get to know him. And so Todd, how are you doing, man? Thanks for having us here at the brewery.
Hey, thanks for being here. It's awesome.
Well, folks, if you're watching, real quick, we got several people already chiming in. Want to say hello to everybody watching. If you got questions, we'll be kind of watching here on the laptop as we're filming it here. So if you got questions, chime in. We'll do our best to answer those. But at the end of the show, we'll leave information about how you can catch up with Todd and how you can find more information about Old Black Bear. So I guess, Todd, my first question is how did you fall into a brewery? How did you come up with this idea of starting your own brewery with your wife? Did you have a background in restaurants or bars or breweries or anything like that?
No, we started it with a friend of ours that is no longer at the company, but we were just home brewers. I think me and him had the idea to start this brewery about the same time as 12 other people in the state, which is kind of weird, but obviously 2010, the Brewery Modernization Act hit and legalized home brewing. Although everybody was already doing it, it became legal. We were all a little less scared at the end of the day, having so much beer in our garage. But
scared of lawyers like me.
Yeah. So 2008 hit. All of our 401ks took a dive. We decided that we didn't want to leave our money in the stock market anymore, so we cashed it out and started a brewery. We started at about the same time that Straight to Ale, Blue Pants, and Yellowhammer all did. So
okay.
They were part of the homebrew community in Huntsville. We were in Madison. And it just kind of skyrockets from there. So it's pretty amazing, the exponential growth that's happening.
Yeah, it is. And I know here in North Alabama, and I know in Tuscaloosa, I've mentioned to you before, my brother and some guys own a bar. It's not a brewery, but they own a bar down there, and I know that's growing in their area too. So it's really cool to see. It's great to see a lot of local businesses, that entrepreneurs like you and your wife and the other folks here at Old Black Bear that really, have a passion for what they're doing and start it, and then to see the local community come in and start this and support you guys. That's really cool.
Yeah. So you're going to see a lot more of, I think, what we're doing and Straight to Ale's doing, and a couple other people are doing, is in North Alabama, all over the state, is with all these breweries popping up, it's going to become more and more local. It's going to become uber local. So you're going to have neighborhood breweries, whereas before you had regional breweries. Distribution's all becoming kind of hard for all of us with all the beer in the market. Mobile's got its own local beers that it wants in Publix now, so we have to fall back on our home communities. So we decided to make downtown Madison ours. We built this restaurant. It's really been, I think, great for the community. We've had, the baseball team was basically born here from all the meetings from the mayor and the owners, and they were here multiple nights arguing and drinking and high-fiving, and it's been cool to see. This is what we wanted to build it for.
Yeah.
We wanted to build it as a community place where people could come, make deals, celebrate things.
Yeah. It's Madison's version of Cheers, but you brew your beer here?
Yep, that's it.
Okay. Well, that's awesome, man. And that's cool. So for those of you who don't know what Todd's referencing is, we have a new minor league baseball team here, AA team, that's coming to Huntsville year after next. And they just recently announced the name. It's the Rocket City Trash Pandas.
Trash Panda for life.
That's right. So maybe there's going to be a special Trash Pandas brew coming to you soon. But I guess, Todd, where did you, so Old Black Bear started in 2011, and kind of did that just kind of grow out of you doing your home brews and doing it, finally got confident enough that, and the passion kept growing and growing, you wanted to start your own brewery?
When we decided we were going to make a business, we finalized our recipes. We approached Back 40 Beer Company. They had just started in Gadsden, so we asked them about a contract. They started brewing our beer, letting us use their facility. We put our fermenters in there. Built our brand up over the next couple of years, and then opened this. It's the same, contract brewing. We got kind of a little bit of flack for starting out, not truly local, being out of Gadsden. But it's the same way that Sam Adams and Yazoo and Terrapin and Back 40 themselves. A lot of people financially, it's a lot of capital to start a brewery, so you have to build up a brand that people are buying to go to the bank and then convince them that this is a worthy cause. So we spent the first 2 or 3 or 4 years building that brand up and getting Old Black Bear out there.
That's awesome, man. Hey, real quick, I want to say hello to Keith Bonner, Calvin Smith, Brett Jonesy, Matt McKee, and Chris Hoover. Thank you guys for joining us. Please share it out. If you guys, I know most of you guys are local here in the North Alabama area. If you're local, please share this out so we can kind of spread the message of Old Black Bear and the microbrewery business here in North Alabama. So I guess where'd the name come from?
Black bear is the state mammal of Alabama. So that's one story. That's the quick story. That's the one I like to tell people when I'm not talkative.
We'll be talkative now.
I'll be talkative now. So we wanted to basically create a mascot. And I'll tell you, okay, so there's 3 reasons, right? Now, the other one is we were just sick and tired of trying to figure out what to name the brewery. and so the next thing that came through email, I said, that's great. That sounds great. But we were looking for a mascot. We thought Black Bear, being the state mammal of Alabama, would be a great mascot. One day we'll be able to afford one of those really good Jim Henson Black Bear outfits that cost so much money.
Right.
But as a testament to all the people in this area and the work that they do for Department of Defense, and it's a ton of hours, and I do that myself as well. So we know how much hard work it is. So we wanted to create a brand that people could relate to. And Black Bears, while they're also known for being very finicky and scared, they're very diligent workers. They work constantly to just survive.
Yeah.
And so we thought that was a great mascot to represent what we were trying to build for the people around here.
I think it's awesome, and to let you know, I was out in the front area when I first came in waiting, and there's some great paraphernalia you guys have, and I love the one shirt that says, what doesn't kill you will make you stronger, except something along the lines of an Old Black Bear.
Except bears, because bears will kill you.
Yeah, I love that. That's hilarious. What's up, Nick Jackson, all the way from California, man? Thanks for joining us.
Hey,
Mimi Johnson, how are you doing? So for the folks that don't know, you've kind of mentioned it, and I think most people probably know, but take us through what is a microbrewery, and why do you think that these things are popping up and have in localities all over the country in the last 10 years?
Brewing beer is it's a lot tougher than people think. It wouldn't seem that way with all the breweries out there and all the beer that's being produced locally, but you're creating a product that you control somewhat with temperature and environment, but you're letting a living organism do all the work for you, and you have no idea what the end result's going to be until it's done. So
it's like raising kids then.
So there's a lot of error in it, I guess. When you look at Budweiser or even Sweetwater, they have fermenters that are 3 or 4 times as big as the amount of beer we produce in 1 year.
Right.
So consistency is key. You create a beer that somebody likes, and at our size, and for microbreweries like our size, you have to brew that beer 8 to 10 times a year in these batches where, like I said, these bigger macro breweries, they brew one batch, and that's 2 years supply for us. So we have to do that consistency over and over and over at a rate that they only have to brew one batch.
Yeah, well, that's true. I can see that totally. Mitch Jackson says he wants to see me drink a beer. Todd can drink a beer for you right now. He's got one. There you go, Mitch. So, why do you think this? Do you think there was just people were craving something a little more specific, a better quality beer? Do you think that's where the rise of microbrews came from?
I don't think a lot of people knew what microbreweries even were before Old Town. Old Town tried to kind of pioneered it, I guess. Montgomery had one way back in the day, but they were very mainstream, I think, with the beers they produced. When the craft beer boom happened out on the West Coast, and then the Brewery Modernization Act happened, and they had higher gravity beers, those started becoming imported, right? So you got Flying Dog. I think my first craft beer I drank was Rogue Dead Guy. So you get Rogue Dead Guy, you get it in a bomber, and it's awesome. And so you're drinking that while you're trying to create your own home brew, and it just becomes a passion.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Well, just walk us through real quick, and I think what we're going to do here in a few minutes, folks, is we're gonna get up and we're gonna walk around, and Todd's gonna kind of show us some of the behind the scenes here at Old Black Bear. But before we do that, kind of walk us through what the process is from kind of start to finish, big picture wise, when you go from raw ingredients to final product.
So raw ingredients, you're looking for fuel for the yeast, right? You're looking for sugar. Sugar's eaten by the yeast and converted into alcohol and CO2. So traditionally, breweries use some sort of grain, cereal grain, whether that's barley, rye, rice, anything with a starch content. You soak that grain at a certain temperature. It activates enzymes. Those enzymes convert the starch into sugar. Depending on the temperatures that you use, you're going to get different kinds of sugars. You're going to get fermentable, non-fermentable. You're going to get different flavor profiles. So you soak the grain, you get sugar, you collect that sugar water, and you add hops. Hops are the flavoring for beer. Hops have acids, they have oils. The oils come out at the end of the boil and stay in the solution. The early hops, you get the acids out and give it bitterness, and all the oils evaporate out during the boiling process. So you have bittering and you have aroma. And once you get all the flavors and all the sugars, and you get all this sticky liquid, you put it in a fermenter and you dump a bunch of yeast in, and then you pray.
And drink the last batch of beer while you're waiting on that batch.
You're really hoping your cellar guy cleaned the tank before you brewed today.
And how long, and I guess it maybe, does the size of the batch that you're brewing make any difference, or is there kind of a set time period for what from start to finish?
So the brew only takes 1 day. If you're brewing multiple batches into one tank, you got to take yeast viability into account. You can stress yeast out. Basically, if you pitch enough yeast for 30 barrels, but you brew 60 barrels into a tank, then the yeast is going to get pissed off, and they're going to start making bad flavors that you don't like. Yeah. So you have to take things like that into account. Once it starts fermenting within the next 18 to 24 hours, they can be done from anywhere from 7 to 12 days. And then you have conditioning phases where you let the beer age. You either age it on the yeast, off the yeast. As Budweiser does, they put beechwood in it to try to help clear it up and get some of the yeast out of there. Yeah. And then any of your ales are going to take 17 to 21 days from brew to bottle. Okay. Lagers are 5 to 6 weeks, up to 8 weeks.
Okay. And then, so how big of a batches are you brewing here at OBB?
We do not ship to California. We are only in the state of Alabama right now.
Mitch, you got to come to Alabama. Come see me.
You got to come down here.
And we'll get you some beer. So when you're brewing a batch, how big are we talking about? And we may see this back here a little bit. You maybe can show us something, but then how long are you storing that batch, and how are you storing it?
So the government calculates everything in a barrel. Barrel, according to them, is 31 gallons. So we do 30 barrel batches. We have 30 barrel equipment, so it's 930 gallons at a time.
Okay. And then how long will that last? I guess it's certainly based upon sales, but I mean, what's
our best seller's Cave City, a 30-barrel batch will last us about a month and a half.
Okay. And then I guess, my creative side is so when you're coming up with flavors and stuff, I mean, where does your inspiration from that come from? Is it something you like? Is it something your customers are asking for? Or where do you come up with the brews that you're making here?
I think a lot of people do what they like. And you might see more of that in the future. They're going to, since it's going so localized, people are going to brew what they like. And if the people around them like it, then they'll be successful. What's up, Pete?
What's up, Michael?
I forgot what I was saying.
No, we were talking about how you come up with the batches that you're brewing and doing, and you're saying kind of local.
Well, we had this conversation starting out. You definitely don't brew what you like. You go buy what you like and you drink it. You brew what the market wants. Yeah. So if there's a hole in the market, you're going to brew that kind of beer because we're all trying to make money.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the day, everybody around you makes good beer too. So somebody out there's got a beer you like. You don't necessarily have to produce that beer.
Right.
Does it help having your own equipment to brew the beer you like? Yeah. I mean, every once in a while you can tell the guys, hey, let's do an Imperial Amber.
So do you kind of play mad scientist sometimes? Do you kind of sit down and just kind of say, well, let's try a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and
absolutely,
and do that kind of thing? And I'm sure you've had epic failures, and then you've had things that have just kind of stumbled out and have been great.
Epic failures, man. We bought, at one point we were going to do a peach wheat, and we bought, I think, 50 or 60 cases of peaches, and the guy that told me he was going to peel them and process them quit. So we had 60 cases of peaches go bad in our cooler.
Oh man.
So yeah.
Well, it's no different than any other small business. You live and you learn and you figure stuff out and you adapt and you overcome. That's what you do, and as long as you love what you're doing, then that's it, man. That's where it's at. So right now, currently, how many different varieties of beer are you guys making here?
We have 6 beers on tap all the time. We have, I think, 15 or 16 varieties that we make around the calendar. We ship those extra ones out, and we rotate the ones here. We're trying to add additional taps right now. We want to add at least 4 to 6 more inside.
Okay.
ESB. So when we add those extra beers, we'll be able to increase our variety up to at least 12. We do make our own non-alcoholic ginger beer and root beer as well.
Okay.
So restaurant, we thought the kids might enjoy that. We looked the other day at non-alcoholic drinks. It's in this order: sweet tea, Mountain Dew, and coffee are the top 3. Oddly enough.
My kid drinks more Mountain Dew than he needs to at his house. It keeps him popped up. So we've got a question here from Michael McNeil. Hey, Mike, how are you doing, bud? Do you guys do seasonal beers here? Do you have like an Oktoberfest? Do you do a winter type brews and that kind of thing?
We do an Oktoberfest. Our winter brew is our porter. So we take that, and this year we aged it in Heaven Hill barrels. So our creative minds called it whiskey porter.
Okay, yeah, cool.
Because we're not very creative. Naming beers is terrible, man.
Yeah,
there are a lot of creative names out there, but man, racking your brain trying to figure out something cool to name a beer, so frustrating. I think if at one point if I told somebody, I just want Old Black Bear Lager, Old Black Bear Pale Ale, Old Black Bear Porter, but those names are important.
Yeah, they are. Well, and it's catching on. I mean, just the thing what we were talking about a few minutes ago, with the naming of the new minor league baseball team, that has really, been the vital thing for them. Certainly they want to put a good product on the field in doing, but same thing with you. You want to put a good product in the glass. But it's important for you to brand yourself appropriately and brand your beer appropriately. And that's what I was talking about a while ago about. I loved the logo and I love some of the sayings on some of the shirts and things that you got. I really think that's catchy and would be stuff that people will wear and do. And a lot of people love T-shirts. And if you brand it right, I think you'll get that name recognition stuck in your head there. So let's real quick, before we kind of go take a tour real quick, talk to us a little bit about the restaurant. Tell us what we got going here restaurant-wise that people are coming in to eat.
So obviously we needed a tap room when we were opening this place up. We chose downtown Madison with the help of our buddy DJ Klein.
Yep.
He was city councilman at the time. We were kind of the anchor to their downtown redevelopment. And now that that's finished 3 years later, there was a restaurant on site. Bandito Burrito used to be here. It was a Mexican restaurant. They closed down to let us open our tap room. The kitchen was sitting there. We decided, why don't we cook some food for some folks? Can't be that hard.
We can make beer.
We can make beer. We got to be able to cook a burger. So we did it. It's probably the hardest thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
The restaurant's really tough, but like we said earlier, we've created something that everybody loves now and can't stop.
Yeah.
So we're glad we did it at this point, even though it was that hard.
Do you pair? I'm just curious. I was thinking, do you think about certain foods to prepare to go with certain seasonal beers, or is there any pairing between the beer and the food?
The cans that we produce all have suggestions on them. We're going to start beer dinners once a month in January, on Sunday nights, I think.
Okay.
We certainly do food specials. I mean, it's not. We're beer focused. We make our own liquor as well. We have a still, so we make our own vodka, rum, and gin.
Oh wow!
We're right next to a railroad track, which you're fixing to hear.
Hey man, you get a little bit of everything here. There we go, right there. We'll go shout out to Norfolk Southern.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, Todd, why don't we get up? Folks that maybe get a shaky for a second here as I pick up the tripod, but let's go back and take a quick tour before we wrap up.
All right,
let's
sounds
do it.
good.
All right, folks, so thanks for tuning in. So we're going to walk, and we're going to go back here, and we're going to check it out. So I'm going to turn the camera around, and we can kind of take a look at what's going on here. Got some of the staff here. Guys, say hello to everybody.
Hello, everybody.
So we'll kind of walk out here and get a shot of downtown Madison, kind of see what's going on. It's kind of a gray, gloomy day. So you come out, and so here's the front of the tap room there. Kind of walk into here to the restaurant there, and then we'll kind of come in here, and Todd, lead the way.
We get to see the distillery in action. We got Ben bottling.
Okay, great.
I'm done bottling.
With his choice of music.
I'm done bottling.
Well, you can't brew without good music.
You can't. This is Josh, one of the brewers.
Hey Josh, thanks for having us in.
Be careful, you got the fancy shoes on.
That's okay. So kind of walk us through what we're looking at here, Todd. Kind of point some things out and tell us what we got going on.
So this is what we call the cellar area. I don't know how far I need to get back.
Hey, you're good.
Cellar area is where the beer ferments, fermenters obviously. The cones help us collect the yeast and pull it off the beer so
Okay.
it looks pretty when it's done. This tank here, once it's done fermenting, once we have it ready, we transfer it or filter it into here and hook it up to CO2. So that's where you get the foam and the bubbles.
Okay.
Pressurized. Takes about 24 to 48 hours. Carbonation, basically, in the beer. It's a function of time and temperature. So the lower the temperature, the more pressure, the more carbonated the beer is going to become. This big tank here is really expensive, and all it does is heat water.
Big water heater.
It actually doesn't heat water. It stores hot water. Sorry. So we got the Brewhouse, mash tank. What I was talking about earlier, you soak your grains. This is where you extract your sugars.
Okay.
So this guy, big rake inside there, stirs up all that grain and water. And this thing has what we call a false bottom. It's got stainless steel plate all through here with little bitty tiny little slits. So it holds all that grain on top and all the liquid drips through. And as the liquid drips through, it gets pumped over. This is where you boil it. So your boiling does two different things. It extracts those oils and the acids from the hops, and it also sanitizes the liquid.
Okay.
So breweries popping up like they are, obviously, especially in Alabama and how fast it happened, the health department didn't really know how to handle it here locally. So there was a lot of work that we had to do with those guys to teach them. They were worried about, you have hoses laying on the ground. You can't do that in a food processing plant. And so since there was no rules in Alabama, they lumped breweries under food processors. Well, it's a no-no to have a hose on the ground in a food processing plant, but once the beer is sanitized, sterilized even because of the boiling process, it gets pumped out. It never sees air again. If the beer at that point gets any kind of oxygen introduced to it outside, then it's gonna taste like cardboard. It's gonna get oxidized. So it's very important for us for the quality of beer that it never sees oxygen ever again, and the health department didn't understand that. So it was a learning process for us, teaching them.
And educating the local health department on that. So I guess based upon, after some talks and conversations and things, that you were able to kind of get them to understand this is a little bit different process.
Yes.
And that you've got to have some hoses and things for the proper way to process and brew the beer. Yeah.
So backing up even earlier, this is our malt meal. So dump the grain in there, just grinds it up. This one is we're able to very fine tune it. If you ever look at a piece of barley, you want it to grind up into pretty much 4 equal pieces. And so if you get it ground up into a powder, then when you put it in here, none of the liquid's going to come out. It's going to become concrete. So you want a certain consistency to that. So we can dial that in that malt bill. A lot of little, you asked earlier, what are the intricacies of brewing? That's one of the small things that we have to worry about.
And then
we've got a brand new canning line.
So y'all can the beer and do all that here yourself?
We do. Cans. We got that about 2 months ago. It's been awesome.
Awesome, man. And then now tell me about the barrels down here. What are we looking at there?
So this is that porter I was telling you about. New bodies barrels used from Heaven Hill Distillery. Fill it up with porter, let it sit in here for about 6 months. Especially in the wintertime, it's really good. You get a lot of temperature fluctuations.
Right.
In the day, it gets up to 95 degrees, so it's going to expand a little bit, suck some of that beer up into the wood. Then at night, it's going to cool down, compress, pushes the beer back out, so you get that wood flavor, and whatever whiskey was left inside the wood comes out. They say if you get an empty whiskey barrel from a distillery, if you're to basically compress that wood like a press,
right,
you get about 15 gallons of whiskey in it.
Wow.
That's stuck inside that wood. So we're 4 feet underground. We actually had to dig this out to build the brewery. So the concrete, being as low as it is, radiates about 56 degrees year round. So at night it really cools it down even in the summer months. And then going back to what you were saying earlier about us experimenting, these bottom 2 barrels we actually found at Walmart. They started selling wine barrels. And so we bought a couple for display. And when we pulled the bungs out of them, they were pressurized and they still had a little bit of wine in them. So they were actually good. So we decided to age 2 of our beers in those as sours. So we left them out and let them collect sour wild yeast, put them in there, and those have been aging for about 2 years.
That's awesome, man.
So we're going to pull that out. It's going to be kind of one of them's a high gravity coffee stout that we aged in Cabernet. Both of those are Cabernet barrels.
That's cool, man. I love the mad scientist aspect of it. Well, look, let's jump on here and let's tell everybody how. Thank you for the. Kind of tell everybody real quick, Todd, where they can find you, what your hours are here, and then how to get you online.
So we're open 4 to 11, Monday through Thursday. Friday we are open 11 to 11. Saturday as well, and then Sunday we do a brunch from 10 to 4.
Okay.
Monday night is now steak night. I think maybe you heard some people talking in the background earlier. That was our potentially our new beef provider in Prospect, Tennessee. They're a local farmer that we're trying to hook up with.
That's great, man. So guys, if you're local here in North Alabama, come out and try Old Blackberry. You've got a lot of great selections for beer, and you've got great food. I've heard so many great things and about the food here, and it's just a great time, great atmosphere. And in downtown Madison has really been revitalized, and so it's just a great place and easy to get in and out of, which is always a hassle. If you're going some places, it's not a hassle here. Todd, how can they find you online? I know you've got a good website and you got some social media that people can follow you guys on.
oldblackbear.com. We have the oldblackbear.com/taproom for the information on the restaurant. Instagram, Twitter, obviously Facebook.
Yeah. So, folks, what we'll do after the show, when I get back to the office, I'll go ahead in the comments and I'll put the links to their social media handles into the website so you can find more information about them. Todd, thanks so much for having us out today,
thanks
man.
for coming.
Congratulations on being in business for 7 years, and I hope you got many more years to come,
Appreciate
buddy.
it. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everybody.